his experience and him saying this is because we see guys suffering. That, you know the hardest part? They don't know what to do. They're out here.
I
they want to
agree.
get girls. They know what to do. So imagine
you
a girl
teach them to trick girls into giving them pussy?
A girl that's capable and knows what she's doing.
That's unfair.
Meets a guy that
That's unfair.
know what he's doing.
Look at. Shut up. You're degrading the quality of the podcast. All right, guys, you're looking at the thumbnail. Y'all looking at the title of the video. Y'all already know what time it is. It is time to get active. Guys, to be honest with you, I didn't think I'd be reviewing another fresh and fit appearance this soon, but I think that it's uniquely interesting to see the points, the ideologies of content creators that have red pill at the foundation, red pill talking points with a sprinkle of their own ish. And, you know, all of us as content creators always put our own kind of seasoning on the content, but to have all of that being challenged by different audiences is fantastic conversational and discussion pieces. So we must go in. They recently went to the Flagrant 2 podcast, which are equally as controversial podcasters, but they do it from much more of a comedy perspective. And I will say this, there wasn't a lot of comedy in this one. They was getting that fresh and fit from all kinds of angles. I'm going to present you guys with a specific clip, which I think summarizes a large degree of what the conversation was about, but I'll leave a full link to this podcast down in the description box down below so you guys can watch the whole thing and judge for yourself. And let me also say this, that this is the most amount of pressure that I've seen applied to Fresh and Fit, at least from a content perspective, and it's not even on their platform. So you already know I'm interested to peel back the onion to understand the psychology of the conversation. Without further ado.
In today's dating marketplace, the way, you know, dating is between men and women, girls have a crazy upper hand. You know what I'm saying? And we've talked about this with how the world's changed with, you know, Instagram, online dating apps, etc. Women really have all their leverage when it comes to dating and relationships nowadays. So what we teach guys is to kind of go into this fight that you're talking about and be prepared. Most women are using rocket launchers and guys are going in there either bare fists or with butter knives, right? They don't really know what they're doing.
I think that's actually a very interesting comment by Myron, and actually is the value proposition of a lot of the dating coach sector and spheres is this idea that men today are outclassed. But I think it's interesting that we peel back the onion of why. As with most complicated questions, there's a multivariate answer. The sexual revolution was a major component and factor. Within that revolution, there was the separation of sex from procreation. Before prophylactics, before the birth control pill, women had to be extremely careful, right, with the men that they choose to engage in sexual intercourse with. Now, not so much. But within that dynamic, young women hold the power. Why? In the dating and or sexual marketplace, men are looking at things from a visual perspective, and attractiveness can be tied to beauty and youth. On the flip side, women are not necessarily looking at beauty and or youth, as they are not visual creatures in nature. They're looking for degrees and level of masculinity as well as ability to attain and retain resources. A young man at 18 years old generally doesn't have any of that shit. And that point can actually be dovetailed into the idea that the sexual revolution has aided in this single mother rate that we're currently experiencing. The masculine domain of knowledge exists purely within men. And if men are not home to teach boys to be men, well, then guess what's going to happen? A mother cannot teach a young boy about seduction, right? She's going to teach him how to be a simp. Let's keep it rocking.
So we tell them, listen, man, you got to understand how women operate, how they think, etc. And a lot of girls finesse guys. So we teach guys female nature, how to understand how women communicate versus how men communicate, how to get what you want out of relationships without getting finessed. Because the thing between men and women is that men are trying to get sex, women are trying to get money, time, attention, resources, whatever, and both genders are leveraging, right, their asset to get the other commodity from the other without necessarily giving up their asset. Men want to get the box without necessarily having to go on dates and spend money. Girls want to get the money and the dates without necessarily giving up box. So it's a delicate dance between the two where you're going to try to, you know, get what you want out of dating. And unfortunately, most guys don't know how to navigate this properly, you know? So that's what we teach guys, to basically fight fire with fire, because girls are playing the game. Girls are finessing guys. You know, we have a whole sugar daddy epidemic
Yeah,
going on right now. We have got a bunch of girls finessing dudes. So we teach guys how to fight fire with fire, honestly. And you know, you got to know what you're doing when you deal with women because they're playing the game, so you got to play it as well.
You know, as Myron explained that, and the thing is that I don't disagree with him, but it paints such a bleak future for dating of modern men between modern women because it's going to always be it's always going to be a one-up at the end of the day. But I think for the audience members down into their content or just from a male's channel perspective, what I think you guys need to understand is the difference between dating for getting butt, for getting the innards, and courtship. Don't conflate the two because their branding on what they're putting on or the content that they're selling is within the idea of to get you butt. And it's also not to say that they don't have beneficial things to utilize within their content, but I'm thinking of the amount of people that sit and watch the entertainment versus the people that watch a financial stream. And as a content creator, I get it. That's actually why I pulled back a lot of the strictly educational things that I put up on this channel because I'd look at the numbers and I'd be like, oh, I put way more time, energy, and effort into the educational stuff. And I got to worry about, the business at the end of the day. I got to worry about my mental health at the end of the day. So why put so much effort if people are not looking at that? But the crazy ish is that information will lead you to live a happier life. I think you have a lot of modern dudes today that want to skip the line. They want to get to bump on that other shit. I want to see what these chicks is talking about so I can and I'm telling you guys right now, it's a lot more fulfilling of a lifestyle if you build on yourself first, understand game, and then utilize your knowledge to identify a young woman that's worth a shit.
Here's the thing. I got to get pushed back on that because here's the thing. I don't think that every girl that you're meeting is trying to finesse. I do understand what you're saying. Not every. And I think most, to be honest with you, like if you're charming and you're down to have a good time and have fun, they want to have fun too. I think most women are dealing with such boring guys that if you're an actual guy that's funny and entertaining, their eyes light up and they're so down to enjoy your time and your company. And I think most women are actually entering these relationships insecure. They're going to fuck it up. They're going to be, oh, am I going to be too clingy? Should I not call him every 3 days? I think it's actually like to a guy's detriment to think of women as these people that you're fighting, so to say. Like, these women are more nervous than you. Once a woman likes you, she's terrified she's going to fuck it up. She's calling her friends. She's calling her father. She's calling her mother.
Andrew, you got to get to that point. So, like, the
that
thing
point is a 30-minute conversation.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to marry this guy.
Hold on. Here's the thing.
That's a fair point by Andrew, but I would say that's a fair blue pill point, or maybe not even that. Maybe it's just a fair point by someone that doesn't understand the potential audience or the market that a Fresh and Fit is speaking to. I was looking at an article the other day that was saying that 30% of men under the age of 30 are still virgins. Could you say that for those 30% of men? I also heard Jordan Peterson the other day say that women surveyed across dating apps thought that 85% of the men that they came across were unattractive. So I think that it's a fair point of how a woman can act if she has a high level degree of interest with a man. But what about all of these other men that I just talked about in these two reference points?
Most dudes are invisible to most girls.
Yeah.
Women only see a small percentage of men.
Top guys.
Most guys are virtually invisible to them. That's the reality.
So I think if you enter in with that mentality, that's how you're gonna see it. But I think if you enter with the mentality like nobody should be invisible to me, I'm the fucking shit, that girl's gonna figure that out.
Of course, but we gotta accept reality.
Yeah,
that
is reality.
That is reality.
So let me just add this, right?
Yeah.
So your point of view is from your experience, right?
Yeah.
We talk to guys and girls every night, every single day. We're actually in the dating field every day, dating apps, sugar sites. We're in there in the field, learning real time. Mm-hmm. So when we give advice regarding this topic, bro, it's like we're in the field with girls right now.
In Miami.
So they're both right and they're both wrong. The flagrant two guys, I don't know if I mentioned this before, the flagrant two guys are like all married. Right, so they're all married. They're all like in their 30s plus, right? They're all doing very well for themselves, right? Like, so they're on the far end, okay? So for them, yeah, maybe what they're saying is more true for them. But again, there's a lot of men on this planet and a lot of men are going through this invisible man syndrome.
His experience and him saying this is because we see guys suffering that, you know the hardest part? They don't know what to do. They're out here.
I
they want to
agree.
get girls. They know what to do. So I'm
So
not a
you
girl
teach
that's-
them to trick
a
girls into giving them
a
pussy?
girl that's capable and knows what she's doing.
That's unfair.
Meets a guy that doesn't
That's unfair.
know what he's doing.
Look. Shut up. You're degrading the quality of the podcast. Actually, depending upon how Fresh and Fit would have responded to that might have increased the numbers of the podcast. But it was clear here, if you guys look at the full interview, it was clear here that either certain people were placed there in order to rile Fresh and Fit up, or they're just coming in with their own kind of emotions and feelings about something. But I don't think that what he just did is how you have a conducive conversation to understand what is happening, attacking, shaming, throwing insults in that particular type of way. I have not seen any of their content that is tricking women. If anything, I would say that they're being very upfront with women.
She's gonna take advantage. It's just human nature.
Well, why? I don't think she'll take advantage, to be honest with you. I think she just won't be interested. And I think that if we look at
That's
women,
the problem, though.
Yeah, but if we look at women like predators,
Yeah.
that's a bad perception for a guy who's trying to find a woman that he wants to marry. Like for
Very
me,
fair
I'm
point.
trying to find a girl I want to marry, right? So I can't go into a relationship with someone that I'm about to trust with my life and my kid's life as, oh, this girl's a predator. She's trying to get over me. She's trying to figure it out, right? I have to go in open, and then I actually have to go in going, oh my shit, do I really like this girl? Is this person I want to spend the rest of my life with? I know that she would want to spend the rest of her life with me because I'm a great guy.
I appreciate Andrew explaining that like that, but I think that it's still very important for men to understand the rules of the game so they don't continue to be taken advantage of. And this goes outside of dating. Paternity fraud is a real thing. The family court system, divorce court system are real things. And yes, I understand that those are far extremes, but it can be gone down to being a foodie call, right? And getting your wallet taken advantage of. I think it's key for guys to understand these different mechanisms that can happen to them, which requires a bit of defense. They can't go into these situations bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Well, we tell guys to go in with
Open
defense.
mind.
And here's the thing too, guys.
Yeah.
But why are they
we're
so
in a-
defensive? Why are they scared? It's like,
You got to be aware.
So we're in a
do
unique
they?
position.
It's not the forest, bro.
We're in a
You're
very
the
unique-
lion, but you teaching them like they the fucking gazelle.
Yeah,
like
right.
we the lions out here, bro.
So here's the thing. So we're in a very unique position because
Not the
we talk
invisible
to thousands
dudes.
of guys.
Yeah.
And we also talk. At this point, we've interviewed well over 1,000 girls on our podcast.
Yeah.
And there's been some things that have come up that made me realize, okay, this is why we have these issues with dating. The reality is this. I'm going to boil it down for y'all. Most women are delusional of where they think they stand, and most guys underrepresent themselves of where they think. So girls have an overinflated sense of ego for the most part, because we ask them all the time. We actually have a delusion calculator we use. And we ask them, hey, what type of guy are you looking for? And when they put in their ideal man, every single time, he's in the top 1% pretty much. Very rare, We're talking well over 6 feet, over $100,000 per year, not married, not obese, etc.
Not weird.
Yeah. So
You asked the ideal.
no, of course, but they all think that they deserve that as well, is what I'm trying to say. They say that's what they want, and they feel that they deserve it as well.
Don't you guys
Right?
think you
So-
deserve your preferences?
Yeah.
No.
Here's problem. Good.
So, but these girls are not necessarily in a position to demand that kind of man when there's not enough of these guys to go around. You get what I'm saying? And then the thing is with that guy is that guy has the leverage, not necessarily the women, because once you get to a certain point as a guy, you now actually have the leverage where you're the commodity versus her. She's just an attractive younger girl, but there's plenty of girls like that. So that's what we've kind of found in a
Y'all
dating
didn't have
place.
broke
And-
friends that got pussy growing up?
I completely understand what Myron is saying. I think that what we escape talking about a lot of times, to be honest with you guys, is there's delusional women. There's also delusional men. And these delusional men have had their minds completely and utterly warped by OnlyFans, IG thoughts and models, as well as just social media in general. I think men more accept where they are at from a hierarchical perspective than women, especially because men don't have as much as the pandering media that gets placed in front of them. But shit, I remember not too long ago, I did a live stream and a young man came up here with ashy knuckles, looking like he was in his mom's attic, talking about that he deserves an 8 and above. That does happen as well.
Here's the thing: they might get girls
Like-
or whatever, but are they going to be able to keep them? Are they going to be able to
I had a
consistently
friend.
maintain
We had
them?
a friend he was my roommate. He would walk out of the
Yeah.
house every day with an old hoodie with a mustard stain on it, and the guy got tons of pussy.
Bro, I was getting tons of pussy living
What?
with my parents, walking them into the living room, seeing my mom drink Bud Lights.
Here's a problem.
This statement right here demonstrates how out of touch that they are with the modern man today. Your broke friend growing up that might have had Chad or Tyrone features is a lot different than the anime kid who doesn't really fit in from a charismatic perspective.
Like, is this idea
I
that
know.
like it's so hard to get laid and all this? That's the fallacy. The fallacy is that they're not as equally as nervous. What they are is bored. Women are bored with corny fucking pickup lines and shit. But
Yes.
teaching guys that they got to be terrified and they're these
Not
fucking
be
monsters,
terrified.
these predators.
Just
Like,
go
man
in.
up. Stop being a bitch.
We don't tell guys to be terrified.
Nah.
We tell them to go in and understand how women think,
Feel 'em.
how they operate, and put yourself in a defensive position where you're vetting the girl.
Yeah, but
She's
that's
gotta
his point.
comply.
Why are you in a
Can I-
defensive position? Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, so you gotta basically put yourself in a position where she's complying to you. She's qualifying to you. Most guys come in thinking, oh man, I hope she likes me. Let me get the girl.
Yep.
What we tell guys is you need to come in and be like, take it or fucking leave it, and then have her comply to you, because when a woman is following your lead and a woman is feel like she's qualifying
Yeah,
to you,
you should have
that's when she's
standards.
attractive. But most guys don't come from that angle. They come from a scarcity
'Cause
mindset.
they're desperate.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
And they're nervous.
let me prove myself to her, blah, blah, blah. They kind
Yeah.
of fall into the Disney fairy tale.
We should prove ourselves initially. We have to. They have the pussy. If we don't prove ourselves, we can't enter. That's the game.
Here's the thing. I respectfully disagree with that to a degree.
disagree.
Because she's going to know that from
Can't
like
have
meeting
sex
and
with you
talking
without you willing to be have sex with me.
But
Like,
that's done with your existence. Like that's just from your energy, the way you operate, the way you speak to her, your tonality, your confidence, your leadership. She's gonna see that just off of messing with you. You don't necessarily have to brag about what you do.
No, I never
not
said
saying
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
said she's gonna learn
It shouldn't
just
be
from being
overt, is my
around you.
point. It
Of
shouldn't be
course
overt.
not.
It
Of
shouldn't
course
be
not. She
overt.
don't learn from being around you who you
Yeah.
are.
They're both saying the exact same thing.
exactly.
And ideally, there are things that you can do to like expedite that process. So there are certain dudes who like they might need to be friends for a month, and then that girl starts to realize, oh my god, this is a fucking really quality guy.
Don't
And
be
he was
friends.
a little nervous and weird when I first met him, but he stayed true and he wasn't building my fucking cabinets and doing all this shit. He was just a fucking good guy, and now I realize it. And then there's some dudes that are gonna be charismatic, and within 5 minutes, all of a sudden that girl's gonna be like, oh my god, this
We
guy's
tell
so
guys
much
never
fun.
be in a friend zone. Get out.
Yeah, I said before that they were speaking the same thing, and again, I think they're this is why this conversation is so interesting. They're speaking the same thing, but one is from a red pill mindset and ideology, and the other was from a blue mindset and ideology. Because think about it, what they're both saying is be the best version that you can be as a man, and a woman will naturally be able to see that and be attracted to that. But Myron is saying do that from a red pill perspective, meaning be very cognizant regarding female nature, while Andrew is just saying, well, just be a nice guy, be friends with her and all types of shit like that, which I tell you guys, I don't think that you should ever be friends with a young woman that you want to be romantically interested in. I just don't think it makes any goddamn sense.
That's real, Angelo. Think about it,
Yeah,
right?
I think I agree with you. I think
I don't have a problem with that.
I think that that's smart. I think the problem with the friend zone is I think with guys is dishonest on our behalf.
Yeah,
Very.
for sure.
I don't
Very,
think you
for
should
sure.
ever lie about your intent, but I think that you can respect if that person isn't interested. But as long as you continue to know, like, hey, listen, I like you and I think that you're great, and if you don't like me, that's fine. I'm not going to put any pressure, but please know, like, that's why I want to hang out with you.
But let's be real here. When a girl meets you for the first time, right? She already knows if she's gonna fuck you or not.
Facts.
So you playing games with her. Oh, let's see what happens, bro. She already knows.
I think that's some shit
That's
we
not
say.
true.
I don't think
It
that's
is
That's
true.
not true.
100%.
Matter of fact,
That's not
I have another friend, not a great looking guy. Shouts to Rel Battle. I hope you're watching. He said, every girl I've ever fucked said, I didn't think I was going to fuck you.
Yep.
And he goes, I know.
Well, here's
Every
the thing.
girl.
There
Yeah.
might be exceptions to the rules, but most average guys struggle with women. And the thing is that from us talking with thousands of men, and at this point, well over 1,000 women on our podcast, average women, girls that are very average,
Yeah.
expect that they deserve a man that's well above average.
Good,
and that's
they
kind of
should.
where it's
But
skewed
Aren't you teaching men to expect the same thing?
to what do you mean as far as like to get the best
You're
girl
not
that they can
teaching
get?
men to expect mediocrity. You're teaching men to expect the best thing. So what's wrong with these girls wanting to
No,
expect
no, they
more?
can have their standards, but man, come on, let's be
Be
honest. Does every
delusional
girl-
in life.
Yeah,
When y'all
exactly.
decide to have a
Every girl
podcast, right?
deserve,
But
you know-
think when you decide to have a podcast and enter this podcasting space, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were delusional in your ability to believe in yourselves. You're like, oh shit, we're gonna create content that other podcasts, other blogs are talking about. We're gonna put an imprint on this space. That's delusion, and it worked. Delusion is America. Everybody should be delusional.
The American dream is delusion.
All right, let me end the conversation right there because they start to go off the rails and they go through a lot of hills and valleys of different discussions, but I wanted to drop at least this portion of here and give you guys my dissection of it. Regarding that last point where Fresh set up the idea that women will know as soon as they meet you whether or not they're going to want you to pummel their insides, and then Akash didn't agree with that. I agree with Fresh and Fit on that particular point. I think most women will already know. But at the same time, you guys cannot discount game. Having a fantastic mouthpiece, having next level charisma or next level confidence can get you a lot with a young lady. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave this for right now. This was a particular fun one. Do you guys agree? Do you not? Leave it down in the comment box down below. This one should make for fantastic discussion. Let's get active. Until next time, YouTube, peace.